Omega Force's Wild Hearts is their new IP in the monster hunting genre. After looking into it a bit more, Omega Force did have the Tokiden series as their previous hunting franchise, but it did not perform well over here in the West. So can Wild Hearts beat its previous series, and can it compete in this genre of hunting games? Okay, I think I should already let loose the big chungus of the room here. Graphics. I first said in my video about the demo that the graphics is not too bad. I like to object, Your Honor. I've been playing this game on the Xbox Series X, and the game is automatically set to performance mode. When you look at the graphics, my god. I must have traveled back in time or something. Like, I get it. You most probably needed the game to power the other stuff going on. Stuff like the Karakuri looks like it can crash the game, which I'll talk about later. Plus, I'm a believer that graphics don't matter too much when compared to the gameplay. A fine example is Monster Hunter Rise. When I played it on the Switch, it looked ugly. Okay, ugly might be too strong of a word. I would say Rise's graphics weren't the best, especially coming from World. World's graphics pales in comparison to Rise, and that's obviously because of the Switch limiting the game's graphics potential. However, going back to Wild Hearts, this game is limited to PS5, Xbox Series, and PC. And the game looks like this. Yeah, people will be disappointed, but then I turned on resolution mode, and that's when the Foundation attacked. This game looked much better with this turned on. I've only played this on the Xbox Series, and I've been hearing that there's been a problem with the PC port. I can see one part of the game being a problem for PC gamers, and playing on Xbox Series made me want to just poke my eyes out. Other than that, the game ran well for me. I had to redo this line a lot because I don't want to say it ran like most games, even though it did. It's a hard one, let me tell you that. There's nothing wrong with running the game, as far as I remember. The problem is moving. Of course, when I'm just running around this gorgeous environment, it looks fine. Moving around when fighting the criminals also looks fine. However, running on buildings and other stuff doesn't feel smooth. It feels clunky, but oddly smooth. Maybe that's just me. For example, running on these rooftops feels sticky. I think it might be because when you run off a ledge, your character automatically jumps. Even if you're not sprinting, which adds more to the jump, your character still jumps. I'm gonna guess they made some bits of the terrain a ledge, which is very weird. Well, it's not like you'll be running on top of buildings throughout the whole game, because what you'll mostly be doing is fighting these criminals. Criminals, not kimonos, is what you'll be farming in this game. Now, if you're someone that's never played Monster Hunter, these massive enemies can be fought multiple times in order for you to craft armor and weapons by using the materials they drop mid-battle or after defeating them. All of them have unique movesets for you to avoid, block, or counter with whatever you have at your disposal. People will say that the giant beast you're fighting is just an enlarged KFC that's kicking your ass for eating its brethren, and that the game lacks creative monster designs. Okay, maybe more of the latter. I would say that I didn't really care too much about the designs. As long as the fight is good, then I'm satisfied. Sure, they could have made it look more different or unique, but how would you do that? I guess you can take a look at Monster Hunter's book, where they mix up their monster designs. Tigrex is a mix of a T-Rex and a tiger, hence the name Tigrex. If Wild Hearts did that, then wouldn't that be copying their homework? Even though they pretty much copied some criminals' attacks from Monster Hunter. Either way, I didn't mind it too much. Sure, it would have been cool to see if they could mix up the designs, but you barely think about them since you're mostly thinking about how to avoid those giant spikes flying at you. As I briefly mentioned, fighting these criminals is really fun. From using the weapons to building Karakuri, these criminals can either be satisfying to fight against, or a straight up pain in the ass when you need to specifically break a piece off the criminal. I'm looking at you, you giant Donkey Kong from Smash Ultimate. This monkey literally does the same move from Smash, and it's annoying. The piece I need from it is located on his arm, and just look at this thing move. Just stay still, you son of a... Whenever I fought the Kemono that was needed to progress the story, I gotta use another word than the behind because I might get demonetized or something. Let's just say I needed to get good. I had to focus on fighting that Kemono like I was playing Elden Ring again. Oh, I miss my first Elden Ring experience. Such good times. Sorry, going off topic here. But the major Kemonos was quite a challenge, and sometimes even the regular Kemonos can screw me over if I'm being reckless. Being the GigaChad gamer I am, I decided to play with all 8 weapons, which most probably extended the time needed for me to reach the end game and make a review for the game. Each of these weapons have unique mechanics and combos that are simple to understand, but a few of them can be hard to play with. Take the Bladed Wagasa or the Umbrella as an example. The combos are very simple. You can mash one of the attack buttons until the string ends, and you'll barely get damage that way. However, if you're able to use this weapon's ability to parry, then you do more damage and some attacks will change. Things like this will make you think about how to make use of the weapon's ability to deal massive damage. One of my favorite weapons is the Karakuri Staff because it has the ability to transform into 5 weapons. I really love throwing the giant shuriken and then transforming it into the next weapon to eventually use the massive sword. It feels pretty epic when you land that attack, but man, is it a pain to use. The weapon tree is another thing that I find interesting. The most basic use of the tree is to go down a single path just so you can build the strongest weapon. I feel like most players will just do that, but for the advanced players, they will make the weapon tree look like a star constellation, and there's a good reason to. Each weapon upgrade comes with a skill that you can carry on to the next upgrade, so that you can eventually build a weapon that can defeat Thanos. On top of using these weapons, you can also make use of the Karakuri to change up some attacks. Karakuri is what I like to call this Monster Hunter game's gimmick. Having only played Monster Hunter World and Rise, both of these games introduced a little something to make the game different. World had the Slinger, which allowed you to throw these things at the monster, and I say it was barely used. Or maybe I barely used it. Rise had the wire bugs, which helped with your combat situations. Wild Hearts has the Karakuri. Building these mystical wooden contraptions is both fun and annoying to mess with. Fun because if you build the right Karakuri, then it will help with stopping that godforsaken monkey in its tracks. Yeah, I have a grudge against that monkey if you haven't already guessed. Annoying because once you get the ability to build other Karakuri, you're kind of stuck with looking at that list and you hope that you didn't mess up the button combinations because otherwise you're dead. I got caught out one time. I thought I had built the right Karakuri, but I messed up. Obviously, it's not bad when you get used to learning the button combinations, but I'm still salty after that one experience, man. Mixing the Karakuri with your weapon attacks changes the way you fight the Kemonos. You see how that Kemono is a distance away from you? Well, you can build a spring to launch yourself closer to it. Or maybe you should build a stack of crates to perform a strong attack. Building Karakuri looks just like Fortnite, but I like it. At first, I wasn't too sure about it. It felt like it broke the combat a bit, but give it some time to cook, and you'll be using it at every moment that you can get. When you use the Karakuri in co-op sessions though, that's when things get a little buggy. Yeah, that spring just won't stop springing, but at least it works, right? For a game like this, the grind must be present. For you casual gamers that might not know what the word grind is when you gotta take your non-existent time and spend it on the game. Continuously fighting the same monster again and again until you get the materials to build better gear. Wild Hearts' grind is slightly painful. Some Kemonos can gracefully give you the materials you need. Other Kemonos just won't give it to you even after spending 1.5 hours fighting it. Hell, I made a weapon for the sole purpose of breaking off Kemono parts like their horn, and it barely gives it to me. If you don't have the time to spend farming for materials, then this might be frustrating for you. There are a few ways to get around the problem, but in the end, you still have to go out your way to kill those tiny beasts just for that material. Those little guys actually messed up my attack with the massive sword. I'll never forgive those tiny pieces of HIT! For the people that have friends to play with out there, or you need some help from randoms, I've heard a mix of problems when it comes to co-op. Playing with the maximum of 3 players is completely fine. The problem is playing with only 2. If one of either player dies, the criminal will focus only on the one who's alive, which sucks because you can't revive your friend who's clearly trash at the game. But hey, at least the criminal is working as intended, right? There's also some skills or abilities on armor that can be useful for playing as a support. Skills like making the criminal only target you so that the other player can do whatever the hell they want. Or how about the ability to revive your teammate faster? However, the downside to that is that these skills won't matter if you play this game solo, especially the skill that makes the criminal target only you. Like, I want to use these pieces of armor because it looks better than the other ones, but there's no way I want the criminal to be focusing only on me when I need to heal up as a solo player. Speaking about armor customization is abysmal. So you can mix around armor pieces for specific skills and to mess around with resistances. That's totally fine. My problem with armor customization is making myself look good. I just don't like these armor designs, man. I'm literally wearing a tent on my head. Look, I know it's based on feudal Japan, but come on. I do like a few of them, but the others, I'd rather not. At least you can change the color of the pieces, which is a hidden option that the game doesn't really tell you about. Now I can kinda wear that weird armor piece. It looks slightly better. We're in this deep of the video, and I haven't even touched this game's story. And that's because there might as well not be any. I wasn't really expecting much from the story. I just don't think it's possible to make a good story with a hunting genre type of game. The thought of fighting these massive animals and the sole purpose of farming the materials to build gear just doesn't pair up with a story of some kind. At least they tried to make it up. Like this one side quest made me investigate a murder situation, but it just ends up with you fighting this random criminal. I feel like the devs place these side quests randomly in the game, since it doesn't feel like they are planned out well in terms of mission design. So, is the game worth it? Is this game good enough for it to be in the hunting genre? Basically, there needs to be a Wild Hearts 2. I would say to give this game a chance though. It's definitely good for people that want to get into the monster hunting genre. The tutorials are very friendly for new players, unlike Monster Hunter World. However, it's kinda hard for me to fully recommend playing this game. Like, the environments look really good, making use of the various characters to either traverse the terrain or to use them in combat is very useful. I really like being able to set up campsites or spawn points wherever I like, even though you can only put another extra 1 or 2 because of limited resources. The weapons are easy to use, with some of them requiring a certain level of skill, and the grind is not too bad. On the other hand though, people are reporting the game's optimization is bad on PC. I do have to say that this game doesn't feel like it runs properly. During combat, it can be a bit jank. There's tiny moments where the game feels odd. Climbing the criminal is one of those things. It gets messy when you're trying to climb up a criminal to get threads off of them to build more character. Or if there's a ledge and you're trying to dodge, it just makes the character jump, like I said before. And since you're not dodging, well, it's time to take the L. Stuff like that makes the game feel like it's not finished. At least the devs are still releasing post-content stuff for free. We've gotten a few new criminals to fight from the time I recorded this video. I thought that Wild Hearts would be thrown into microtransaction hell, seeing that the publisher is EA Original, but I guess they left it. In the end, I still had fun playing the game. Sure, it's a bit buggy, but it doesn't entirely break the game, like one game I can think of. Wait. I would like this game to continue being in the hunting genre space, because Monster Hunter is the only one that I can think of, and I would want it to have more challenges. I know the Monster Hunter fans would look at this game with hate or some kind of privilege, but let the devs cook more, and hopefully the next generation of Wild Hearts will be better. Everything I've said here is my experience from the start of the game to reaching the end game. I've just set foot in the end game content. There's a few more things I could have talked about, but I didn't want to stretch the video. So I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, be sure to give it a like, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and I shall see you guys later.